What's holding you from having more love in your life? And are you looking beyond the physical? Joining me to talk about this and the energy of love is Leah Piper, the Love Pro. Thank you so much for joining me today, Leah.
You're welcome.
You are so fascinating.
I think of myself as a sacred sex expert. I've got certifications in lots of things, but one of them being Tantra Yoga. That's kind of the foundation of my work. And so I'm here to just shine some light as to our awareness and try to raise the collective consciousness on how we can treat each other better.
And do you think that people, it's not that they're not aware of it, is because people are afraid to talk about certain things, like they're afraid to talk about sex?
I think there's three big things. One is we have our social and religious conditioning, which gives us a foundation of shame and fear and all the stuff around pregnancy that people are afraid of and STDs that people are afraid of and the sexualization of children that they are afraid of. And so we have all this fear that we hover around our kids going, don't be sexual, don't be sexual, don't be sexual. It's dangerous. We are being taught about sexuality by a bunch of people who feel very neurotic and afraid about that sexuality. And since they never got an education, they don't even know what to teach. And also because parents are concerned about who's going to teach their kids sex, they want to be the ones to teach their kids sex, but no one ever taught them about sex. So we're just a big melting pot of misinformation, first and foremost. So there's that. And that's what kind of rules this anxiety and this feeling of like wanting to be good. And then we got our biology, and our nervous system is set up very specifically. Our biology compels us towards wanting to have sex because it needs, its survival is dependent, right? We got to get this next generation out. So we got that going on. And then we have this other thing that has meaning to it, and that's got a lot of heart. And it has a deep desire for life fulfillment and love fulfillment and pleasure fulfillment. And being that we are these conscious artists, like we want to be artful with our life. And so how do we start to reconcile these three different very confusing areas?
How do we do that?
Yeah. So that's been my work, is trying to understand that and realizing that there's so much beautiful things that we can begin to create a solid education and hopefully give the next generation another shot at having a sex life that's not neurotic. And
You and I had talked about this before, looking beyond the physical. Can you talk a little bit about that one?
yeah, it's natural and normal for us Westerners to rely on chemistry, right? Like we're not going to date someone we don't have chemistry with. We need to have the ooh la la's. We got to have some chemistry in
You
there.
have to be perfect, right?
But I want you guys to know that like that's a luxury of the past like 100 years. Okay, like that's for the thousands of years that human beings have been in the world, they have not had the luxury of being able to marry someone because of chemistry. They were told who they were going to marry, and it was usually because of economic reasons and to solidify family ties within the tribe. And so, what did all those people do before we came along, before the industrial era came along, and we got to be individuals? Well, there were arranged marriages. And so, what was taught and woven in is that you have to learn how to be an alchemist. You don't always get the luxury of relying on chemistry. So, what does it take to create alchemy? And that's a very interesting thing to play with as a modern day lover. And we need it when we start to go into long term partnership because we only have like that first year. We talked a little bit about this, like the best cocktail on the planet, the one you want to sip forever, is that ooh la la, I am falling in love. Remember the first year, y'all, when you just couldn't wait to take his or her clothes off? Oh my God. And you were feeling it and life looked bright and the best part of you was alive and well.
And then that dies after a while.
And you're just elated. Well, you have got a stream of brain chemistry. You got testosterone, it's giving you that sex drive. You got oxytocin, you want to bond. You've got opioids, you have a sense of well being. The world looks good. And then that starts to go down
Mm.
after about the first 6 months to 2 years if you're lucky. And it's because of that chemistry that starts to shift. Now, what happens is hopefully the love has been invested. So now you know you love this person, you're devoted, you're committed, you're going to go the distance. But, sex becomes, there's so many other things to do, and I'm kind of tired, and I
Yeah,
got
all
a
this stuff,
headache.
right? The list goes on, right?
The list. And like you're kind of hoping that like okay when I feel like it they're going to want to feel like it too, because no one has sex when they don't really feel like it. We have ways of getting out of it, and in long-term relationships rarely do two people want to have sex feel like it at the same time. So we're just kind of going okay, we can do it, but like where's all that passion? That's where the alchemy comes in. That's where practices come in and ritual. That's where the study and the art form of being great in partnership, of knowing how to turn each other on, of being curious and insatiable, and learning how to fall in love with your lover all the time because you do love them and
And
you
you
want
work with
that.
people. You work with people
Yeah.
to figure
I,
this out.
I work with people to figure this out, and there's all sorts of great techniques. I mean, things such as breathing that can help you expand the length, quadruple the length and the intensity of every single orgasm, and all it is a breathing technique. I mean, there are things that can happen that can make a shift so good, so fast. People no one knows it because your parents didn't know it, and they probably would have been too shy to tell you if they did. The power of the vulva. We are learning now. And so I just want to give a little tidbit to the audience. You have as ladies, you have as much erectile tissue, inch for inch, and ounce for ounce, as a man. So if you've ever seen an aroused man, I want you to know you got the same thing, honey. It's just dispersed. We've got these lovely little pockets of it. And one of the things I love to do in my women's work is teach women their anatomy of arousal map. There's a method to this madness because this has all just been confusing. So I've got weekend seminars that are both for couples and singles. I also do all women's groups, which are like initiation weekends. And then I do these VIP retreats where I take a couple or an individual for like 5 days, get them out of their routine, where they get to have intensive practice. Because it's very important that you not just read a book or watch a video about this information. You got to practice it. You got to have the embodied knowledge, the muscle memory, so that you can make an informed decision. Wow, yeah, this is important. I want to keep this in my life. I'm feeling change here.
What would you say is the biggest problem when it comes to couples? I mean, we talked about because they get busy with work and all of this, but what is the number one thing that you see when it comes to couples and this particular subject?
Boredom, routine, and lack of communication. So they have a tendency to just talk about the day, like what's happening next, who's picking up who. It's like the errands and they're strategizing, but they forget to make time to have deep and meaningful conversations. The kind of conversations that I would describe as open-ended. It's not, hey, did you get the laundry today? It's, so babe, if we had all the money in the world, what's the first vacation you would want to go on? And why? It's like, honey, if we could decorate the living room, like, what would you want to see in here? Who do you think looks out of our kids, who do you think looks the most like my dad? And you're conversing, you're together, you're relating, and you're dreaming also.
Getting to know each other more.
Getting to know each other more, yeah.
Beyond the physical, what you mentioned earlier.
Yes, and it's this communication that opens up the heart and helps you feel close. And when you feel close, you want to get closer. And so many times, and for a lot of women, like foreplay begins with how you hold my hand. Foreplay begins with how you listen to me, that you're curious, that you want to know what I think, you want to know what's on my heart. You want to know why that conversation kind of hurt my feelings at the office today. Mm-hmm. You're really curious about me. You ask questions. You're in there, and your body language is in there. and you really care about what she's saying and what she's feeling. I think sometimes women have a tendency to share and it doesn't have a point.
Mhm.
We're just sharing, you know. Oh, I remember that hotel. I stayed at that hotel 8 years ago. You know, they got a really nice um, spread on Sunday. It's delicious.
And they
Me,
could care less about that.
you know, we're not talking because we have a point. We're talking because we want to share. A lot of men stereotypic, and not all guys, some men stereotypically are like, if it's not got a point, you know, then what's the point? Like,
Sure.
where's the remote? You know, where are my shoes? Where's my wallet? Can I
Now,
help lift that basket for you?
Leah, are you seeing anything different now with the COVID-19 situation because everybody's been in a lockdown?
Well, I'm seeing a lot more online dating through Zoom,
Mhm.
and I find that really interesting and cool, honestly. I think what it's providing people is a chance to really get to know someone before they allow the chemistry to take over. Because sometimes it's like we're so hungry for kind of touch and connection and sex that we don't always spend more time on really
Getting to
seeing
know.
someone and getting to know them and asking them questions. It's one of the fun parts of early dating. And it's neat that you can see somebody now and talk versus just being on the phone. Now, that doesn't mean it won't be, it's still possible that there isn't enough chemistry for it to be a connection if you meet face to face. And I also want to make sure that chemistry is important. It's not like you can't, like, I would want people to have some chemistry before they start messing around with alchemy. Look into their eyes and look for what's best about them. See, we're so concentrated at looking at them and seeing what's wrong here.
Right.
Okay, I've got to look, right? So we got our judger hat on. We are going to see how we're scanning for how they're going to disappoint the situation. And then what that does is it brings that out in that person. Whereas if you're looking for like the spirit,
It brings it out because that's what you're focused on, right?
what you're focused on is
Right.
going to be what you get.
Right.
So I'm surrounded by amazing, amazing men. Why? Because I hold them there. I'm looking for that. God, you know, you are amazing. I love that about you. Tell me more about that. That is so awesome. Wow, I'm really touched by that skill of yours. I'm really touched by that strength. I had no idea that was one of your magic sauces. Rick, you're so amazing. You know, or and it's just like you are. I search for it, and you know what happens? You can see it in their body language.
And that goes the same way for
Exactly.
women.
Women,
And then,
totally.
right.
Because who doesn't love to be seen? And who doesn't thrive and flourish when someone is putting their attention on what's lovely about you?
Right.
That is going to rise up in them. But we have this bad habit, and a lot of us learned it from a parent, where we've got this negative bias, and we are looking for the threat. And what we're going to get is someone's crappy attitude. Back to dating, I think also this chance to get to know someone allows people, because when we kind of fall into the chemistry by having our bodies so close together, we can lose ourselves. And there's something nice about this social distancing that gives people a chance to really stay inside themselves as they fall in love or deepen a connection with somebody else. So self with a capital S gets to remain.
That's important.
Yeah.
Now,
I,
you also go ahead. So go ahead.
well, you and I talked about, because kind of leading me onto another conversation you and I had recently, which was about the energy of love and the emotion of love. And how, you know, one of the best things I did during my last round of dating was date from this understanding that the energy of love, it's this, oh, it's beautiful. We all have access to it. It's like a universal thing. The love is in the air, the love is in the earth, the love is in the cosmos, the love is in nature. I
Everywhere.
mean, love is an energy and it's everywhere. It's inside of all of us. And to give you an example, the energy of love is when, oh, I'm at the grocery store and I'm noticing that the checkout woman has the most darling earrings. And these earrings are so darling, I wish I had them. And I just have to tell her, your earrings are so cute. And they bring out that sparkle in your eye. Looking good. I just had to tell you. Mm, mm, mm. And she's like, and she's feeling happy, and I'm feeling happy, and I just leave the store feeling happy, and I know she's happy. And it's like these things we do that just make our heart can't help but acknowledge that we see somebody's bright light. Now, this can happen like when I was dating, I would do the same thing. I'm going to concentrate on seeing the best in this person. I am going to allow the energy of love to be present because I love who I get to be as a loving being. And I know that I'm not resourcing that energy from my body.
That's
I'm
important.
utilizing that energy of love through my breath. I'm utilizing it because I'm connected to the earth and to the environment. And I know how to bring that out because it's sincere and it's not messy. It's not very complicated. It's just being a good person, right?
Yeah.
And having fun. Now, there comes a point if I'm dating someone and I kind of like them where I'm going to say, wow, I'm kind of noticing I got this room in my heart and I feel you walking towards the door. Like you'd really like to be in that room. Or maybe I'd really like you to be in that room. But before I start decorating a room for you in my heart, are you feeling anything the same way? Like, is this gonna work for you? Like, are we headed in the same direction?
And not be afraid to ask that question.
Yes. And go,
Right.
look, I want an agreement from you. I'm not gonna fall in love with you unless you want to fall in love with me because it hurts to love someone when they don't love you.
Yeah.
And so by trusting the energy of love in my system, I still get to have the yummies, but I am mindful that I do not sign the contract of the emotion of love until I have an agreement that that partner feels the same way about me. Now, how do you figure that out?
Right.
I take a look at values. Are our values somewhere in the same ballpark? Money, religion, kids, marriage, polyamory, vacations, life purpose. All these areas, most people will break up because of a value that doesn't match.
Right. I mean, if
For
somebody wants
growth,
to have kids, the
vacation.
other person doesn't, that's important.
Yeah, then I'm not going to invest a lot of emotional love. Now, I may have a great 6 months with this person who I wish I was going to sign that contract with, but because I'm protective and wise of the emotional love and in my heart, I am going to just keep on bringing myself back. I'm going to stay open, but I'm going to keep that room in my heart as something that is sacred. So, what's the emotion of love? The emotion of love is an energy that comes from your body. It has a cost. And it's like a contract. And it says, I will do my work with you. When my feelings get hurt, I'm not going to ghost you. When you step on my toes, I'm going to forgive you. Like I'm going to go the distance. So, here are the people that you probably have contracts with: your parents, your kids, your ex lovers, and your best friends. Even the ex lovers that you wish you weren't still had that emotional love contract, you still kind of do. Like, and what happens is that if you think of the heart as like a castle, each person, place, or an experience has a little room in your castle. And family members, and ex lovers, and best friends, and your favorite places in the world, they all occupy big rooms. So I want to be conscientious about who gets a room. So this is how I work with slowing things down, and I use this metaphor and this language with its distinctions to have a fun conversation about love and dating and agreements and boundaries and go, this is how I like to do it because I'm protective of you because I respect you and I want to treat you with dignity and I don't want you to be hurt, and because I definitely love myself and I want to treat myself with dignity. And I
And
want
that's the most important thing. You have to love yourself because if you don't,
to
then it's not going to work out either way.
yeah, either way. So here's how you start to play with it. You have to notice first, go on a walk in nature, and you'll notice when you're feeling touched by things, it's like, oh, there it is. I feel so filled with gratitude. Look how
I'm
what a
alive.
beautiful, glorious day it is today. Boom, that's the energy of love. And in that feeling of gratitude, you start walking down the street and you're like, oh, they look so funky and cute. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, that was such a cute hug he gave her. Oh, look at that little kid. Oh, he's got a boo boo, but he's so cute. You just think everything is so sweet, you know? Because you're open.
You're in
Open.
La La Land.
Yeah.
People say I am.
So that's the energy of love. When you got those feels and you're uplifted, you're just feeling uplifted, you've got access to the energy of love, and it's lovely, and be a channel for it. It's what a lot of like doctors, a lot of healers, a lot of yoga teachers, a lot good lawyers. These people are actually utilizing the energy of love because that's what empathy is.
Mhm.
So when someone is kind and considerate and present with you, they're not your lover, they're not your family, but you can feel that this person has care for you.
Right.
And they are streaming universal, benevolent energy to you. And we can call that love, we can call it kindness, compassion. That's all the energy of love.
Right.
And then there's that
Beautiful.
emotion of love. Yeah, and that emotion of love, you feel it in your body. You want to sometimes do dumb stuff. You get upset. You want to run. You want to run back. You feel vulnerable. You signed a contract like, oh, okay, let's do this.
You're awesome.
Yeah.
Leah, is there anything that you would like to add for the viewers?
Yes. I would say one of the biggest, most difficult things to overcome in our culture as sexual beings is that we make sex have a goal. And that goal is everyone's got to come. Orgasm. The whole we worship at the feet of orgasm. And who doesn't love an orgasm? I get it. I got 1,000 techniques I could teach you to have good ones, and they all work. But we're missing the boat if we're only thinking and worrying about orgasm, because that's where so many issues start to arising, because we feel unfulfilled if we don't have it. We blame if something goes wrong. We're obsessed with getting it up, getting it in, and getting it off. We're worried we're the only ones that don't feel anything. We're worried that we actually hate it and we are forced into it. There's so much pain surrounding sex because we make it a goal. And if we could just put the goal aside and just make it about love, being the love that we are and bringing the energy of love or the emotion of love, you can have either one depending on your agreement, then orgasms, pleasure, good sex will follow. Now, no one taught us how to be a master lover, but 2,000 and 3,000 years ago, that was on everybody's mind. In fact, being a master lover was seen as so important that it was at the top of the 64 arts that every cultured person must master. And so I hope to inspire the rest of you to consider love and romantic love and sexual love as an art form. And start reading, start learning, get excited, be curious. And you'll discover that fear and shame, anxiety, and neuroses, and I gotta, this problem, that problem, will start to dissolve.
Just be a better lover, period.
In fact, if you want to learn how to never miss another clitoral orgasm again, ladies, and if you are someone who loves a lady, be you a lady, a non-lady, or a man, or anything else you like to call yourself, because I love y'all, you can go to my website and I will teach you a technique that will help you never miss another orgasm again.
What's your website?
And it's free. Go to morelovementor.com, and right on the homepage you can click the link for the freebie.
Leah, thank you so much for joining us today.
I had so much fun. There's so much to talk about. Thanks for the time we had.
And thank you for watching this interview. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel where you will see other interviews.